What's going on? Welcome back to a new this right here. Yeah, welcome back to a new Western Star movie review podcast. I am the host, Hunter West. Welcome back to a new episode every Wednesday at 12. If you are new to this, I pretty much do the news and movie reviews every single week and not March, every Wednesday. And I pretty much talk about the movies I've seen, some of the movies that are coming out this month or year. And by the end of it all, I'll have a whole big movie ranking, maybe top, best, worst, whatever. I really would love to be able to do something like that here. Um, Hopefully, if we're able to. But if you are new, um, let me know what you think. Always type in the comments, whatever. If you're watching these live, and make sure you subscribe to the Ion WICR, to make sure that you get latest updates on everything that I'm doing. So, with that said, let's talk about the movies at stake and what I talked about. So today we're going to be talking about The Menu, a new movie coming out. We're also going to be talking about Mr. Harrigan's Phone. I finally got to see Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Episode 3 of The Wilds, and box office news and upcoming things in the future. So, with that in mind, let's get into it. Let's discuss the films at hand, shall we? I'm going to try to move this. So, unless I can't do that, but I'm going to do that for this right here. And I can't move in, but whatever. So let's talk about the first one up, and that is The Menu. This is a new film uh from a director I haven't heard of, but it has a pretty good cast as well. You got Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Fiennes, Nicholas Hoult, and John Leguizamo. So in this movie, it pretty much goes as followed: as there's this. So the film is about. I'm gonna try to sum it up without spoiling the movie. I'm gonna try to sum this thing without spoiling it because there's a little bit of crucial. So, a young couple travels to a remote island to eat at an exclusive restaurant. Um, to eat at an exclusive restaurant where the chef has prepared a lavish menu with some shocking surprises. And I was really interested in this movie. Um, I was really excited to see what this movie was about because it looked like it was a very interesting film. There was a little bit of a twist going on. Has to do a lot, involve a lot of food elements, to it. So I was really excited to see what they were going to do with something like this. And I'm going to be honest with you, was nervous because I wanted this movie to be something that me and my father can both enjoy, and we ended up both enjoying it really much. I really enjoy this movie. It's a good film. It's a really good movie. It pretty much is kind of like a satire where it feels like a dark comedy, but it's not a dark comedy. Like there's a lot of dark comedy aspects in it, but there isn't a lot of big surprises going on. I mean, because the movie plays out and it's really, really good. And then the movie has an end that's kind of like, it's fine, but it's not as, exquisite as it was. It's like you're going to all these like fancy restaurants and it's like 10 out of 10. You love every single thing you're eating. And then you go to this fast food place and it's like, whatever, but you still enjoy it. That's how I felt about the ending of this movie. Right off the bat, the performances in this movie are awesome. Ray Fiennes is really good in the movie. He is There we go. Ray Fiennes is really good in the movie. He is pretty much the chef of this movie, and you kind of are like, what's up with him? Why is he doing this to these people? And so you instantly are like feeling for his character. Anya Taylor Joy is really good in this movie. She's always done in everything she does. She was really good in The Northman, which I enjoyed, but he's really good in this movie as well. And I think um that there could be some Oscar worthy things going on with this guy and this woman. And Nicholas Holt, who played, I believe it was one of the characters. He was in Mad Max. I forget his name, but he's always like, he was a guy that said "Witness Me." Um, John Leguizamo's in this movie, and for many people who know Ice Age, he plays Sid the Sloth, which is awesome. I mean, he talks with a lisp, so there's something. But I really thought that the movie was cinematography was really good. The story, it gets weird. Like, I won't admit, the movie gets weird in certain places. But it's kind of like a good weird. They do these things with like these menu courses where they show you what's in it. And there's some scenes in the movie where they do this, and it's like, um there's something, it's somebody makes a dish, and it's absolutely terrible, and it's like Tyler's BS. And you know I just spoiled the name, but whatever, you'll have to see it for yourself. And when it happens, it's a very tightly paced movie, that it's a very short film. It's an hour and 46 minutes long, so it's not as long as I think it could have, as it thought it was going to be. But I think what works for me overall is the fact that it really connects with like the foodies. It makes fun of all these food groups of like these entrepreneurs and these people. And I just feel like this movie does a good job of doing that. Um, and I think that it does a pretty decent. Um, sorry, man. I'm just trying to update my ranking on some of these movies I watched, but it's pretty much like they're doing it, and they feel sorry. There are these groups, and they start to get a little bit angsty. There's like this one group of tech dudes, like that own this company that worked or reviewed this place, and they're kind of getting cocky and stuff. And you kind of are like, oh, these guys are d-bads. You don't like the characters, or you don't like their personality, but they're playing it so well. Really, the performances are the main thing I like. The food I'm making that they do. You see a little bit in the back how they make it really good. It there's like a lot of like small things. It's like delicate, but small, like oyster clams and stuff, like these small little circles. And so it's very fancy food that they do, but I really was just like, I didn't care about the food, because towards the end they do a thing where it's like, oh, now I know what you're doing. But the way this movie ends up, like the way they figure it out, and the way they, like they figure out what's really going on, it feels a little bit okay. It's not like perfect. It's everything about before that ending is like really good. Like it's really, really good. But then the ending of this movie is like it's fine. So like it's not a perfect film, but it's like the ending of this movie really cost it for me. And it did, because like it just felt like, oh, that's how the movie ends, with no real expectation, I would say. But I did have a good time watching the movie. I overall think that it's a movie worth seeing in the theater. and I really, really enjoyed this movie. It's one of the better films that I've seen this year, and so far is in my top 10. I'm ready to give this film an A minus. I'm ready to give this thing a 9 out of 10, and this is one you should go see it. It's probably not going to be for everyone, but it was to me. With that said, let's move on to movie number two, and that is this one. So I've talked a lot about reviewing a specific film, like in the in like October, called Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Problem is, there are some days where I'm just lazy and I don't want to watch a movie, or I watch something different. And there are other times where I just like, you know what? I forget that movie is still there on my list because I think it's interesting. I'm going to go watch it anyway. And so yesterday, a couple of days ago, was that day for me to watch Mr. Harrigan's Phone. So I sat down and watched it, and before the movie got mixed reviews, like it's a Stephen King book, so it's bound to be weird. It's bound to be really received. And two things before this. One of them was the previous Stephen King movie that came out that was based off of a Stephen King book was a total fart box. Firestarter was awful. It's one of the worst movies I've seen this year, and it did make a lot of money. This movie, it's on Netflix, so at least they know where they're going. But I will say this: I didn't hate this movie, but it's not a good film. Like I have a lot of weird things to talk about with this movie that I don't know if I want to get into spoilers, but whatever. I might, but no. So the main plot of this movie is you got this kid who's about to go into high school, and his name is Craig. And he's a young boy. He lives in a small town, and while he's growing up, he befriends this old guy, this rich old guy named Mr. Harrington, and the two of them form a bond. And you know, Mr. Harrigan is read by Craig. He always comes over. He reads to the guy. He's a nice person, and he's about to go into high school, and he's starting to get into the age where it's like everybody has a phone, and I need to get a phone, and so for Christmas his dad gets him a phone. And Mr. Harrigan's like the nicest guy to this kid. He gives him a lot of money, writes some checks. And so he pretty much is like, he gets him a phone. And so, like, they give him a name and stuff. And unfortunately, the dude dies. But does he? Because this kid starts to get weird messages from the same guy from the phone, because unfortunately the kid buries the phone with him in the casket. And so now it's like, wait a minute, did this kid like summon a demon, or like is there a spirit? Did this kid like is this kid doing all the murders and it's like he's hallucinating, or is this movie just really stupid? And so I think that the movie is pretty fine. It's okay. Like, the best things about the movie, Donald Sutherland in this movie is fantastic. Like, he is really good in the movie. And Donald Sutherland, he's an old actor, but he's always given a good performance, no matter what. And I think that I forgot, was he the one that was in the Hunger Games that played Snowden? I think so. Um, and so he was good in there. Jaden Mernthal or whatever his name is. I keep forgetting. Huh? I'm gonna Jaden Jaden Martell is good in the movie as well. I would say that the majority of the cast in this movie is pretty good, except for one, and that's the bully. And I don't know if this was just the way he acted, but the bully was not good in the movie at all. So there's that. And I would say that the movie has a great first half. Like, up until Mr. Harrigan dies, I would say the movie's actually pretty, like, really good, like a good movie. It's well made, it's well shot. The story makes a lot of sense. You feel that like this kid really appreciates having himself over Mr. Harrigan's house as company because he's always alone. reading to his books, watering his plants, doing a lot. And it's a nice relationship. And over time the kid in high school, he starts to improve. He gets a lot of friends. He likes this crush and he gets his girl. And it's a good story. Unfortunately, I would say the last half of the rest of this movie when like he dies and like there's this random dude that says like, by the way, Mr. Harrigan left you a note saying, "Oh, you're going to be left with $800,000, Craig." This random kid is going to be left with $800,000. I wish something like that would happen to me, but it won't. Never. Hope not. Gee, what am I doing? But no. So what happens is the movie then talks about what if this guy's not dead? What if there's a spirit? And then the dad's like, no, actually, maybe the phone's hacked because you just got the phone. But that doesn't make any sense. I don't think back in the day, like phones being hacked, like the opening, like a couple of days before you get it first time. That's just, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's not. But the movie kind of feels a little bit weird and not in a good way because there's all these accidents that happen like the bully of the movie, he ends up dying, or there's this one person that dies, and then out of nowhere the movie introduces an idea that what if this kid talks to this guy on the phone, because apparently he the way he does it is he's pretty much like calling this guy. He calls him and is like, "Mr. Harrigan, I really wish you were here right now. There's this really mean guy who's picking on me. I want him to get what he deserves. I want him to get the crap beaten out of him." Apparently, he falls off a cliff or falls off his house, and it's like, is this kid actually like doing the murders himself, or is he going insane or what? And the movie's asking you like to think about all these solutions, and so then out of nowhere, the kid just is like one of his favorite teachers that helped him with the bully. She ends up in a car accident because some drunk driver ran got into a collision. And apparently it's like he didn't get a DUI, he didn't get driving under the influence. He was let off the case. And so this kid just comes out of nowhere. He's at college. I don't know what college it is, but he's at college now. The movie like kind of skims through, like what would happen if this kid forgot about Mr. Harrigan, you know. And so he moves on. He's having a good life, and then he finds out about the teacher. And so originally he threw the phone in the garbage, or his old phone in the garbage, and he got a new one. He upgraded to a new phone. And so he goes home and he picks up the phone and he calls Mr. Harrigan's number and he's like, "There's this guy that killed my teacher. I need him dead." It's like the movie just goes out and is like, oh, the kid wants him dead. So it's like, is the kid the one doing the murders? Or is it like some bodyguard that Mr. Harrigan used to know is doing it? Or is it somebody that we can't see? And so it asks you a lot of questions when it shouldn't. It's like, no, I think the movie, like if the movie wasn't a supernatural thriller horror movie, this would have been like an emotional, touching film about a kid who is caring and wants to grow up to be something good. And he learns a lot from this guy, Mr. Harrigan. But they do this thing with, and it's based off of a Stephen King book. So I have not read the book, so I don't know if this is actually what's true in the movie. But it feels like he it's constantly like asking you these questions. I was like, I don't care. I just want to watch the movie. And then by the end of it, when they actually like kind of tell you what's really going on, and I say kind of because they really don't. Like they really don't tell you what's going on in the movie. They don't tell you like, okay, this is what's been actually going on. This is what's been causing all those deaths. This is what happened. But it's not. So by the end of the movie, it just kind of like ends. And I thought, there was parts of the movie I enjoyed. The first half The performances from the kid and Donald Sutherland are good, and some of the story elements are good. But the movie has way too many plot holes. A bully character that absolutely is over the top, and an ending that feels rushed. Like the movie feels rushed in the end. It's okay. I give it a C plus. I would go 6 out of 10. And this is one you can probably stream it. Actually, it is on Netflix. So yeah, you can stream the movie as you wish. So there you go. All right. We got the movies out of the way. So let's move on to the movie news and talk about what has been going on in the world of film. And let's talk about the box office. So, obviously, it was Thanksgiving weekend. So, happy Thanksgiving. And normally, there's movies that come out on Wednesdays. So, they kind of as like a 5 day holiday weekend in which movies can make a lot of money. And there was all these movies coming out. Wakanda Forever, the biggest movie of November right now, crushing it at the box office, is still making money. There was these other movies that came out. I have not seen Knives Out 2 yet. I really want to watch that. I think I'm going to watch it free on Netflix when it comes out on December 23rd. But there's another movie out called Strange World. And this was Disney's animated film. Now, last year they had two movies. One of them was released in March, and it was like where they did in theaters or on Disney Plus. And then they did Encanto, which premiered only in theaters. And it was actually on the Thanksgiving Day weekend. So I have seen Raya. I have still not seen Encanto. And that won Best Animated Film at the Oscars, which is weird because a Pixar film didn't do it, and the one that I love, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, didn't do it. So Strange World hits, and the movie, first of all, was horribly marketed. I didn't see the movie yet. I have to watch it yet to give a good opinion on it. But the movie was horribly marketed. I mean, just awfully marketed. Like, to almost, I would say, no marketing at all. And that's interesting because Disney loves to market their films really strongly. Yeah, they didn't do it for this movie, which is weird. So, I wondered how much is this movie going to make on its 5 day weekend? Well, it was not good because according to the reports, even with a Marvel movie overperforming, Black Panther Wakanda Forever conquered $64 million over the 5 days. Then you talk about last year when we had a lot of COVID people. There wasn't any Marvel movie, but a movie that did pretty decently, a solid adult movie, House of Gucci, pulled up 22 million on its 5 day weekend, and a better performing film, the Disney animated film Encanto that came out last year, ended up doing $40.5 million. Let's talk about Strange World. Strange World was supposed to be this big movie because apparently the budget for this film cost around 135 to 180 million dollars. And the film only made on its 5 day weekend. If I can pull up because I'm looking on a headline, but if I can pull up the actual results for the 5 day weekend, um, Black Panther Wakanda Forever officially made $63 million. Strange World 18.5 million, 18.85. Now, to put in perspective, Encanto, which cost less than this movie, put up around $40 million. That was marketed really well. It was approaching to other audiences around the world, and it did very well for its release. Not extremely well, but it did well. It grossed like $260 million, and it did only 18.8 million on its 5 days. That means from Wednesday to Sunday, it only made 18. And a lot of studios were projecting, oh, it's going to make like 30 to 40 or maybe 20 to 30. And then they were like, maybe we'll just go 20. No, $18 million is the result. And that's not good. That is not good. And to put it in perspective, the theaters that it released in, 4,100 theaters. You take a look at a movie like Glass Onion, which premiered on Netflix, which is going to premiere on Netflix December. It got a first week theatrical release, and they wanted to test out that what if we did that, but we did it way earlier. Well, the movie made $13.28 million. Now you might be thinking, well, wait, that's not as good. The theaters it was released in, there were only 696 theaters that Glass Onion Knives Out played in, and 4,100 for Strange World. And the average amount of money that it made per theater screen, $19,080. Strange World was 45,000 or 4,500, meaning that a movie that's supposed to be free on Netflix, that is given a 1 week free theatrical release, made less money, but more average and less in theaters. And unfortunately, because of this, Strange World has officially become the biggest bomb of Disney because apparently the movie is projected to lose $147 million. Why theatrical was best decision for Doom Tune, not Disney Plus, as Bob Iger takes over CEO. Strange World isn't split milk to cry over. The bombing of the Thanksgiving family title with the 28 million globally opening has prompted discussion this weekend as to what's really prime for theatrical and what's really ideal for streaming. Why didn't Disney go theatrical on a movie they knew had bad audience diagnostics and on streaming? Well, apparently the person who wrote the article, spoke with somebody who saw Strange World at a pre-screening, early test screening back in August, and they said maybe Disney should hold on to this movie. Why didn't Hocus Pocus 2 go theatrical given its massive eyeballs on Disney Plus and cult fandom? Why didn't Disenchanted, a sequel to a 3-time Oscar nominated $340 million plus grossing film, go to streaming? Well, it's because the people at Disney were morons. Because apparently there was a huge shakeup now over the past week where somebody got fired, somebody stepped in, and maybe that's why, or your just movie was marketed terribly. I mean, poorly marketed. You had a decent cast: Jake Gyllenhaal, Dennis Quaid, Lucy Liu, Gabrielle Union, but your marketing in this movie was terrible. Or it's because your trailers didn't give anything about what the movie is about. And so this all comes down to, like, what really is going on at Disney? Like, is this the case for Disney animated movies? Like, are they not going to do as good as we think they are now? And that's not what it should be at all. Like, Disney should not be worried. They should be freaking out. This movie cost at least over $180 million to make. And the movie made 28 million on its global opening. Now let me just say that again. Globally means worldwide. So domestically, and internationally combined, $28 million is what it's made. Not 28 in the United States, not 28 in the what is it? The internationals. No. It made 28 million worldwide from the Wednesday it was released to now, which is awful. I mean, you're about to lose a crap ton of money. And for what? Because you didn't market your movie that well. And normally it would be like, wait a minute. So if people went to see Minions Rise of Gru and the movie made almost over $1 billion worldwide, it made 100 million on its opening weekend, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was released and it made $72 million on its opening weekend, and that was more of a kids' film. Why did this movie bomb? Because your marketing was terrible. And so it all comes down to reviews and marketing to make sure, oh, yeah, we're going to see this movie. So there's that. And that's it. That's the box office. That's the movie news for this weekend. Strange World predicted to lose at least almost over $150 million. It's not good. But Black Panther's still doing well. Devotion's doing decent. Actually, Devotion's not doing good at all. It only made $9 million on its opening 5 days, and the budget of that was $90 million. So that's going to be a bomb too. Question is, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to Disney? And you're going to have to look carefully at these next movies that they're going to release and say, no, that's going to be Disney Plus. Yeah, that's going to be theaters. I don't know if this movie's going to make money. Whatever you think, but it really comes down to personal preference. If you don't want to see the movie, if you don't think the movie looks good, don't see it. But if they're losing money because of it, just give it a shot. It might not be bad. All right. With that down, let's move on to main topic, or move on to the next topic, final topic. And that is this. It's Wilds time. We're going to talk about episode 3, baby. Wilds episode 3. And I'm loving talking about the episodes over and over again, because these episodes are so good. They really need to think about them, maybe revitalizing the show. Okay. So let's talk about episode 3. So, after what happens, after that, they finally found they found a bag containing medicine belonging to a crashed plane's pilot. And here we are. Now we're going to be focusing on Dot Campbell. And Dot is kind of like the tough, chiseled girl, played by, let me see, Shannon Barry. Dorothy Dot Campbell is one of the crash survivors. She's a tough Texan girl with wilderness survival skills who cared for her dying father. So let's talk about the flashback first, because it's really where it gets interesting. So the flashback shows Dot past. She sold drugs in school, and yeah, that's good. Not. She sells drugs to students at her and Shelby's school, including Shelby's boyfriend, or boyfriend at this point, cheating boyfriend, by the way, while caring for her father, who's very ill, Tim. And throughout the show, you see like she's very caring for him. She doesn't want him to go away. And we don't talk about a mother figure here. We're not talking about, there's no mother figure brought up. It's just him and her daughter. And occasionally there's this boy that comes out to help him. She's caring, but you can kind of tell like the kid likes Dot. Like Mateo is his name. And so the kid obviously comes over and helps him out. And there's a lot of, funny conversations about the kid saying, or the father, like, so I think this boy likes you. He's over every day. you gotta give him something. You gotta ask him the truth. And it's kind of funny, but eventually, like towards the end of the episode, he asks his daughter to euthanize him. And if those who know who euthanize mean, well, kill, just end his life. And so she does this, and it's really painful for her to watch because she does not want him to go. They watch a lot of these fighting shows together, and it's like really cool, it's really sweet, and it's sad, when you think about it. And eventually Mateo and Dot kiss, it's like, yeah, I know you care for me and stuff, so yeah, I know. So then we're introduced to the part of it where it's like, why is she here? Because her father says you have to go on this Dawn of Eve retreat, for girls that want to be like you, that are broken, that are going through something. This is you. You need this. And she does. So later she meets with Gretchen and offers her the trip for free. Apparently, you had to pay for it, but this is a free time. She responds that nothing is free. And she wonders, like, what do you want from me? Like, do you want me to do something to you? Do you want me to do something to somebody else? It's like, and so you get this idea, like, did she give her a job to help out with this experiment? And so, you know, whatever. And so now let's move on back to the actual present. So Dot and Shelby search for a shelter for the group and bond along the way before eventually finding a cave. And Shelby's like, um, no, I don't. There's something grabbing me, and she's fooling around and stuff, and I realize it's fake. And it's like, no, you know what? That wasn't funny. Jesus Christ. And she says the C word, like right, the CU, like that. And it's like, wow. So she gets a fly in her mouth, Shelby, and it's like that's called karma. And then she coughs out her dentures. And Dot's like, oh, you have fake teeth. It's like, no, she doesn't say that, but it's like, oh, wow. So you're not perfect after all. So meanwhile, Rachel, Leah, and Nora swim out to the plane wreckage in an attempt to find more supplies. Rachel and Leah, they make numerous dives in an attempt to retrieve the plane's flight recorder. Rachel nearly drowns Leah by holding her underwater. Like there's some murder going on there, but eventually they find it, they have it, and they argue on, do we open it? Like, are we ready to hear what happened to us on that flight? And eventually they vote to open it. And they listen to the recording of the pilot calling for help as the plane crashes. And then we have more of a story where Dot's remembering about her father and Shelby's screaming because she's afraid of a snake. And so Dot kills it with a stick, and she like whacks it across a rock, and she's like showing all this emotion. You know, she's giving it all of it because she remembers her father. She's like, I didn't want to be here. Shouldn't even be here. I should be doing this with other people. And this is the time now where Shelby and her bond, and they barely talked enough because they don't in the same school, but they never talked a lot. And so this was an opportunity for character development to work, and it does. It really does. She is like, I remember your dad was a soccer coach. He would always take us to this place, it was so fun, and they both feel for each other. They know what it's like to go through something like heartbreaking like that. And we'll find out more of what happens with Shelby later on. But, the show still is like you want to care about these people. Okay, we'll give you backstories. And this is the backstory that makes me, emotional the most because it's like you feel for this woman who you expect is like, oh, she's a tough girl, she's a nobody can mess with her. She watches a lot of tough shows and stuff, but deep down, she lost somebody that's very close to her, and it feels to me like she is changing on the island. Like she's typically like the leader. She's like, okay, you gotta watch inventory, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch that, you gotta help out with her. And so there's a lot of that, but then there's more to her side. Like her soft side really comes out during this episode. And so she's interviewed, and my favorite part of it is like she orders all this food, and she has a milkshake, and she's just she puts a straw in, and she's like the whole milkshake goes down, and she's like, "Can I have another one of those?" And if it's nothing to bother, can I get something from like Cheesecake Factory? It's like a badass girl right there, it's something like that. I don't know, but the show, we're 3 episodes in, and I really enjoy this show. I'm gonna give this episode a 10 out of 10. I think it's pretty good. I forgot I didn't give the last show a grade, so I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I think the first episode's a 9, the second episode's an 8. This one I think is a 10 out of 10. I think it's a really good episode. It really did a lot, you know, because you go through something like this, but it hurts more because her father's like, I want you to do it. And what's even worse, it's on Christmas. It's on Christmas. That sucks for her. And it sucks for everyone. So I don't like this show really, to me, is the true definition of like expressing people, giving them different sides, like, showing emotion, showing a lot of heartbreak, showing a lot of representation, and it works. Like this show works. And I'm so frustrated on the fact like they actually just like pretty much canceled it. So, you know, I don't I don't get it. I don't get what goes on through these streaming businesses. I don't know what's going on, but they're just they just don't think that they're ready to go out into the big leagues. I don't know what to tell you. So, that's pretty much it for the news. And, so let's talk about I think what I want to do now is just talk about the movies that I still have to review that I'm planning on doing this weekend. So, some of the movies I have to check out. Um, Wait a minute, hold on a minute. Let me look up something because I think I know. I think if this movie's available on Prime in a couple in a couple days. No, it's not. Okay. So a movie I really need to check out upon is Beast. But then there's so the movies I'm gonna have to review this weekend. I'm gonna review Violent Night, which is a new Christmas movie with David Harbour as Santa Claus, who's protecting these people from mercenaries, and it's like a bloody Die Hard sort of thing. Really cool. Um, I'm gonna watch Wendell and Wild when I got checked up on Weird Al Yankovic story, and I think I'm gonna check out The Fablemans, and then I think on Monday, is normally where Monday Night Football happens, but I think Monday, it's gonna be something on streaming. So, Slumberland, Spirited, Disenchanted. I got a lot of things. I might be able to catch up on all of it by the end of the year. So that's awesome. I'm really excited for that. So I think that it's gonna be a really good month. I think it's gonna be a really good month for me. School's ending in a couple weeks, so I'm really focusing a lot on that. I still want to be able to do this, and be able to do this the whole thing. And not lose focus on work and stuff. Getting ready for the next semester. Um, and I just want to be make sure I want to have a good time. I don't know if I'm able to do the same time as usual here, but it's really fun to do this constantly. I really liked it, so I'm hopeful that you know that this becomes a hobby, and I would love to pursue this kind of career in the future. Doing a podcast, talking about film. Maybe I should try to do film as an elective. I would really love to do that. Seeing how movies are made, directing, acting, all that stuff. I think there's a hold on. I'm gonna look this up because there's a thing with the college that I think they're doing like movies and stuff. I'm just gonna um I don't know. I can find it later, but there was a bunch of films that students here made that they're going to be putting on. I don't know what it is, but it would be nice to see that. So I'm interested in this kind of career. I'm interested in doing all that. Um, I'm an accounting. I want to do it and be an accounting major. So I would like to do that, but also want to. This is a good idea. This is a good um. Probably should have become a film major. Thinking about it. But, there's no I can't make any second chances. I can't make any promises on what's gonna happen. But yeah, so this weekend it's gonna be 5 movies, hopefully. 5 movies, maybe 6 if I'm able to squeeze in a little bit of episode of Wilds in there too. So the movies I will be reviewing next week. Um Wendell and Wild, The Weird Al Yankovic Story, Fablemans, Disenchanted. You know what? I'll do Disenchanted and Violent Night. I'll catch up on the other movies the week next. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching the stream. That's all I have for today. To next Wednesday on December 7th. And I'll see you guys then. This is HJW Western Star Movie Review signing off.